Hello everyone, I'm Roanoke Police Chief Scott Booth, and I'm joined here today with Dr. Verletta, Superintendent of Roanoke City Public Schools. We both felt it was important to come together and talk with you after what our community has been through over the past few days.
We know that this has been a scary time for our students, our staff, our families, and our community. It's been unsettling for all of us. We've had to make difficult decisions to make sure the police were able to thoroughly conduct their investigation. As you've heard me say many times before, my prayer every day for my own children is that they will be happy, healthy, safe, and strong. And this is my hope and prayer for all our students in Roanoke City Public Schools. The fear that our community has experienced is real and has impacted us in many ways. But I also know that when we pull together, we can get beyond this point in time safely and productively.
I am thankful for the collaboration with our school system and Superintendent White. I am also thankful for the dedicated men and women who serve in our Roanoke City Police Department. And I especially want to thank our community who stood up and said something when they saw something. Let's be clear, these threats were populated on social media by faceless individuals, which makes it very hard to easily determine their true intent. But our team did what they did best. They followed the leads that you provided. They investigated, and today I'm able to share that we have arrested and charged one adult and one juvenile in connection with these threats. We're continuing to investigate to ensure that we have a full picture of everything that has transpired. This is because of everyone who has worked together in the schools, the police department, other law enforcement partners, and throughout the community.
In Roanoke City Public Schools, we're going to move forward, and I need your help. Students, I need you to continue to say something if you see or hear something that is out of the ordinary, unusual, or threatening. I need you to come to school and let your counselors know if you need to talk to someone about how you're feeling, because I want you to come to school prepared and ready to learn. We have teachers, counselors, and administrators available to help you do just that. Parents, I implore you to stay on top of what your kids are doing. Check their social media. Be aware of what they're doing online. Know their friends. Check their backpacks every day. And while these threats were populated online, please also make sure that you are locking up anything that could be dangerous for our children, whether that be prescription drugs, guns, or other items that our children should not have access to. If you need gun locks, remember that they are available at your school, the police department, and through Carilion Clinic. Continue to be involved in your child's education. If you are unsure of how to help them or help your children with the things that they might be struggling with, we are here to help you. We want you to be an active participant in their learning and throughout their time in Roanoke City Public Schools.
Unfortunately, experience tells us that when threats are made, the attention can often lead to additional threats. If you see or learn of additional threats, please call 911 if it is an emergency, and continue to use the school's 24/7 Speak Up for Safety tip line to report safety concerns.
If you will remember, in September of 2022, when we were experiencing threat after threat, I came to you to say that if the threats continued, we were out of options and that student extracurricular activities were in jeopardy. Today, we're in the same place, unfortunately. We don't want to see any additional threats, as that impacts the ability for our students to receive the high-quality instruction that they deserve. If we do experience more threats, we will have no choice but to make more hard decisions about extracurricular activities, such as sporting events, field trips, and maybe even prom. So let me tell you why. We cannot responsibly bring together large groups of people for these activities, especially when there are looming threats. If these threats continue, that might also mean adding days to the school calendar for any lost instructional time. We still have a lot of work to do that must and will take place and cannot be disrupted. So let me be clear, teaching and learning will resume. We will continue to work with the police to investigate any threat. Know that if you choose to make a threat, You are choosing the consequences that will follow, which may include suspension, expulsion, and/or criminal charges.
Dr. White, you're exactly right. I want to let the public know that in situations where the safety of our community is threatened, whether it's ultimately deemed credible or not, we will seek penalties to the fullest extent of the law.
This week, we saw widespread fear impact our community, and we addressed these threats. There's trauma that comes with these notifications, and we do not take that lightly. As Chief Booth said, we also know that threats often breed more threats. Therefore, as we have said before, we will not unnecessarily alarm families and the community by sending messages about threats when we are able to deem that they are not substantive, credible, active, urgent, or imminent. As we have this week, we will work with our law enforcement partners. We will follow our threat assessment process, and we will do what we have always done to keep our students, our staff, and our schools as safe as possible.
Dr. White, you mentioned some terms there that are really important to understand. Those are credible, active, urgent, and imminent. We will talk about something being active. That means it's happening and we are reacting in the moment. That's when the school is going to implement protocols such as a lockdown or hold and secure, and our school resource officers are involved in that process, whether it be SROs from the police department or the sheriff's office. Urgent or imminent means that we have a clear idea that something could happen in the very near future. Again, these same emergency protocols may be put in place, and the threat assessment teams that Dr. White talks about, which include law enforcement and mental health providers, will be involved as the situation evolves.
In these situations where it is active or imminent, we will communicate with you.
When we talk about threat being credible versus non-credible, it is based on a person's ability to carry out what they have threatened to do. There are going to be times when we know quickly that something is not credible, meaning it is a hoax, a joke, or otherwise not something that the person means to carry out. Other times, it takes time to determine a threat's credibility, especially if a threat is made anonymously, and we must first investigate who made the threat. Sometimes the threat could be deemed credible. This does not necessarily mean that the person intends to carry out what they have threatened. It means the threat assessment team determined that the person could potentially have the means to carry out the threat, or that there are other factors at play that raise concern.
Thank you, Chief. These definitions are important to understand. Every situation is different, and that is why there are times when we may not notify families if it is clearly not substantive, credible, and/or not causing a disruption. There are also times where we are unable to share as much information as you wish we could, and as we wish we could, due to student privacy laws, or to avoid jeopardizing the police department's ongoing investigation. But make no mistake, we always keep our students, staffs, and community safety in mind in our decision-making process. Now, our community has some healing to do. And I know I speak for Chief Booth when I say that we all want to be a part of this healing process. As I've said before, counselors will be available at schools, and Hazel Health is also available for our families at no cost if your student needs to talk with a counselor or a therapist. You can visit our website to learn more. For our employees who are in need of support, please contact Employee Assistance at 540-981-8950.
Our RESET team, which stands for Rapid Engagement of Support in the Event of Trauma, is also available to support neighborhoods after traumatic events, whether that is a gun violence or threats. Please reach out if you would like to have the team come to your community to promote healing discussions and provide additional resources.
Again, I want to thank the Roanoke Police Department for their partnership, and I want to thank our students, staff, and families for your patience as we did our due diligence in working with the police department on these past few days, over the past few days, to keep everyone safe. We look forward to welcoming everyone back to school. And remember, we are one. Now let's move forward together.